All right, Miss Doris, kick it off.
All right. Well, it is wonderful to be with you ladies this evening. Thank you so much for devoting some of your evening. And as Desiree said, it's a busy time of the year. And I'm just glad that you are here this evening. I want to reiterate exactly what Desiree said. I'm a lifelong educator, but not so much in the sense of wanting to promote education for myself. I want to make sure that everyone who has the desire and the goal to grasp any type of instruction and education has that opportunity. And so I'd like to talk to you this evening about, let's see if I can get my PowerPoint on here, Miss Desiree. Are we
Yep,
seeing
we can see
there we
that.
go.
Yep.
Everybody's
Looks
good
great.
to go. Okay, so I entitled this presentation tonight, Success Together, because that is exactly the goal of the Texas Business and Professional Women's Foundation, is to provide success for those of you who want to continue your lifelong goals and dreams. And so just because we have a small audience this evening, somebody share with us, if you will, what are your goals? Alva, can you share some of yours?
There it is. Okay. Well, I'm not really sure what kind of goals I have, and I'm just going to just say some things and see if maybe uh, that's what we're looking at, because I'm not too familiar, first of all, with the scholarships. But I've been active lately after retirement as a teacher in the local senior citizen center, which provides an activity called Seniors in Play. And what that is you know, uh, storytelling, writing, and also as well as writing. Not really sure whether or not I want to pursue in writing a book, um, but I really like to write, and I've kind of been tossing that around. What is it that I want to do with this? Because I find myself, you know, first of all, excited about that, but I'm also getting some positive feedback to continue my writing. And I don't, who knows where it's going to go from here.
That is wonderful. That's a great start, Elva, because you're absolutely right, or correct. I shouldn't try to use those terms interchangeably, but correct, because support is so important for any type of goal or exploration. You're talking about, you're not sure about going into the field of writing. So exploration of a new career or an additional field is exactly the type of goal that we should all have, or some of us may have currently. Patty, what about you?
There we go. I am a second grade teacher at present and a dyslexia therapist and a piano teacher. So after school. So right now I'm attending King's College in Pennsylvania to get my master's in special education so I can pursue being a CALP certified language therapist so I can help more children. I was in public school for a little bit of time and then switched over to private school. So I am in private school right now. I'm also the interventionist. So it's a little busy, but I'm looking at scholarships. I can't find very many for graduate school. So that when I saw the webinar invitation, I definitely wanted to jump in and see what was available, if any. So
That's Wonderful. Well, thank you, Patty, for sharing that. And thank you for being in the field of education, as Elva shared with us also. So we have, we didn't advertise this as, teachers, but it's always great to have our educators on with us this evening. Thank you. And Sandra, tell me a little bit about yourself and your goals.
Yeah, sure. So I had a 20+ year career in corporate America. And let's see, how many years ago now? I can't believe it's been like 15 years ago. I decided to change up my life. And so I sold my house, put everything in storage, and I went to culinary school because I wanted to go a totally different direction in my life. And that was motivated because I was a single mom all those years that I worked, and the way I connected with my kids was over a meal in the evening. And I cooked those meals. The more I cooked, the more I was like, I think I like this thing called cooking. So I went to culinary school. I own my own business. That's why I'm sitting in my kitchen, because everything I do this is my office basically. So I own my own business called Life at the Table, and I teach people how to cook. And during the pandemic, transitioned my business to mostly virtual. And my education goals are now to combine cooking with nutrition. So I'm pursuing a certification. It's called Certified Culinary Medicine Professional. So teaching people how to cook, but doing that it's not just to cook as a way to feed yourself, but it's really where your health begins. And so that's what I'm doing. And I actually put in an application for a scholarship, but I never heard anything. And so I was getting to the point where I really need to follow up on this with TBW. And then I saw the webinar and I'm like, this is perfect. So, let me come and see what's going on with that. So.
Well, thank you, Sandra. Oh my goodness. So that is another aspect of goals in education, is changing your career field. And Sandra has also mentioned something that has really changed all of our lives very recently, and that's COVID. And so for some, that too was the reason for establishing new and different goals. But Sandra, thank you so much for then building that into something that is so important to all of us at all ages and for future generations. And that's the nutrition, making sure that the health is also an aspect, because believe me, there's a lot of delicious non-healthy food out there. And so making it fun and healthy, and then incorporating the entire family. What a wonderful career. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And Casey, all the way from Louisiana. So tell us something about your goals.
My goals. I am kind of all over the place, but I am also a travel advisor as kind of my main thing. So, it's constant learning with that. The travel industry is always changing, always, different things going on in different places that people are traveling. And so there's always something new. I don't think there's probably anybody that knows everything about every destination or every travel point at any time. And it's when someone has a desire, you learn more about it at that time. Because there's always something new, right? Always something new opening, something closing. So it's great. So I definitely am always learning with that. So.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that. And you're absolutely right. That is what is the old adage? The thing that is always the same is change.
Yes.
And that's always a positive. And we definitely want to move it in a positive direction. So what about Ms. Desiree or Past President Laura, your goals?
You want me to go first, Laura? I think right now my focus, being in a fairly new position, in a leadership position, is just continued personal growth for me through leadership development, and been engaging in a lot of non-structured programs that I think have been really beneficial, and peer-to-peer mentorship, which is why I'm very thankful for Texas Business Women, because I get a lot of that peer-to-peer mentorship here, and so excited to continue that leadership journey.
Wonderful. Thank you, Desiree. And yes, you're sort of talking about non-traditional, maybe some courses and things and leadership that may not be associated with a degree. But what I hear there is that you're also transferring that to assist others. And so that's wonderful on your leadership team. Thank you. What about Miss Laura?
Well, very much the same. As a leader in my industry, I'm a lifelong student as well. So I love learning, and I love passing that on to my employees, my team, and building them up. We're an office full of women, and so I've had 2 employees retire this year. And so building others up in their leadership role and trying to mentor them and push them a little bit out of their comfort zone. So, but I just love learning. I love just like Desiree said, the mentorship from the peers, connecting with other women here within TBW, at our local level, at the state level. I love all the opportunities that TBW presents.
Well, wonderful. Thank you, Laura. And you continue to share your knowledge, and you're talking about not only in your professional environment with all women in your credit union, federal credit union, but also through TBW. So thank you. And again, that's providing that education, but always being, as you said, a lifelong learner. Well, all of you touched on the subject of education or additional training in some aspect of your goals, or indicating that that was an important part of what and where you are. And so we'll talk about that this evening. I do want to mention that the Business and Professional Women's Foundation, our mission is helping women to succeed. And by doing that, we provide financial support through our scholarships. We also want to make sure that we're helping students develop skills through various scholarship awards. But in addition to that, many of you who've gone to conferences, specifically the Texas Business Women's Conference, know that TBW TBPW Foundation is also a supporter in financially providing funds to the conference each year, and that is very, very important. We also have developed several courses that are available to all of our members, and so we'll talk about those. And in addition to that, before I get into specific scholarships that I think most of you would be more interested in, is that we also have an ongoing support with MD Anderson in Houston. But MD Anderson is no longer located just in Houston. Here in San Antonio, we have several of their new branches, which are working with several different forms of research and studies. So that is a very specialized type of funding that we provide. So I won't be touching on that, but it is a very important aspect of the Business and Professional Women's Foundation to continue to support MD Anderson. And so we've been providing that support for Texas women who want to, who wish to further their knowledge, whether it's a skill, whether it's studies, or even for service in a designated area toward medical research, if that's their primary mission. And that's in addition to MD Anderson. The foundation is also supported by individuals, many of whom are members of TBW from all walks of life. If you have the opportunity to contribute, or someone asks you about a donation at this time at the end of the year for a tax write-off, we are also always accepting donations to the the foundations, both in specific or what we call restricted funds for a specific scholarship, or just general for any of the scholarships or anything that we want to do. And so several of us talked about our longevity in education. Well, the foundation was actually chartered in 1990, and we are a nonprofit corporation. So I'm showing you some pictures here. Now, we just came back from probably visiting with in person or maybe virtually with some of our older aunts or maybe grandmothers, or maybe these pictures even remind you of someone in your family. I always look at these individuals and just think that specifically. The young lady in the lower right hand picture there, we'll talk about her scholarship, but I was fortunate to know her very personally here in San Antonio. And so I want you to, as we're going through these scholarships, to think about the opportunity that the availability of the scholarships and the support that the foundation provides is like having an aunt or a grandmother or, you know, someone in your life who has that wisdom, who has that opportunity to support you financially or emotionally, or maybe even making a meal for you. That's great. And even though these individuals are not alive anymore, I'd like you to sort of think about them in that way, because that's how we would like you to get to know them and think about them. So I'm going to start with the very first one. This is Gilda Murray. Gilda Murray was a president of the Business and Professional Women's organization here in Texas. That was the predecessor to TBW, Texas Business Women, but she was a member of the organization. But she is one of those individuals who really came, when the organization was much, much larger, she came up in the ranks and became president without a lot of fanfare and even seemingly support. She was also always one of those women that when she came to an organization, you felt like she definitely was your grandmother or your cousin, because she was always so friendly. And so the scholarship that was established in her name, it actually has, and I want to talk a little bit because Sandra mentioned that she had applied for some scholarships. So Sandra, we'll come back to you and see which one that you had applied for, but this is the one that is the most generalized. So the requirements for the Gilda Murray Scholarship is that you have to be a member of TBW. That's just kind of a standard. You need to be 25 years or older. And it is to either obtain education or just very generalized training. Sandra mentioned culinary training. Alva mentioned maybe taking a course and improving her writing. Well, Alva wouldn't probably have to go back and get a degree necessarily in English or in journalism, but maybe a couple of training courses, some classes that would help her improve her writing, or being able to provide a little critique on her writing would be so helpful for her. It's an opportunity where you're either preparing for employment or you're advancing in your business or profession. A couple of you talked about, Casey, you talked about changing your profession and doing a variety of things. And so that's what the Gilda Murray Scholarship is about. It's not as focused as some of the other scholarships. It's appropriate for anyone who wants to contribute or continue or complete their educational requirements, or start something totally new like Sandra did. The actual payments here is 50% of the cost of the training. Now, there is a maximum of $1,000 per recipient per calendar year, and applications began on July 1st. So this scholarship application is open right now. All of the scholarships that I will talk about are actually online applications. They're on the Texas Business and Professional Women's Foundation website. And so it will give you a little bit of information about the scholarship, but you're filling out everything online. Once you filled it out online and there are requirements for attachments, you can look at those requirements in advance. But even if you didn't fill out the entire scholarship application or were missing maybe a transcript or something, if that's a requirement, then you can always go back to those. So our Gilda Murray Scholarship is probably the easiest or the most global of the scholarships. Before I ask for questions, I'm going to also talk about the Sylvia Jane Heck Scholarship. Now, Sylvia, as I said, was a personal friend of mine here in San Antonio. She was a member of TBW of San Antonio. And so she left this money, and her children are very successful. They still live here in San Antonio, as do her grandchildren. But in her will, she actually set up the basis for this scholarship and said that she wanted her money, because she earned it in Bexar County, she wanted it to stay in Bexar County. So those of you who are in other parts of the state or in Louisiana, this scholarship is a little more specific in that it is for the eligibility is restricted to residents of Bexar County. Again, someone who's 25 years or older, and you might think, well, why are they asking you to be a certain age? Well, we know that in high school or early college, there are so many other scholarships that are available for individuals to be able to start their further their education beyond high school, or start their education at the higher levels. So that is why these scholarships designate 25 years or beyond. Now, Sylvia was a hardworking woman. She had a couple of career fields, but Elvia was a prolific writer, and she wrote for like the newspaper out in Helotes, if you know where that is, and a couple of little, the little San Antonio Reporter, little newspapers. But she really worked hard. So her scholarship says you must be employed either full-time or part-time. And the funds must be used within Bexar County. So that could be at any of the Texas colleges or universities that we have here in San Antonio. But her scholarship was, or is, a little bit like Gilda Murray's, in the sense that it can also be used for a non-degree educational program. So if you wanted to use it for some additional training, as long as it was taking place and is a program that is based here in Bexar County, then that is applicable. If you're going for a degree, you must have completed at least 2 semesters of studies prior to the application and have a 3.0 grade point average or better. And that does mean, as you see for the years of 25 age of 25 or beyond, that would not be 2 semesters like right out of high school. You must have registered or already paid the fees for a non-degree program. So if you were doing something that was a program that didn't lead to an actual degree, then the commitment needed to be there. And Sylvia's intent there was to reimburse you for completing that. Anytime you apply for a scholarship, you're always eligible to reapply. And so the maximum funds are $300 per course, or for non-degree course, whether it's a college course or a non-degree course, and the maximum of $600 per semester. And then, of course, a maximum of $1,200 per calendar year. So again, it's generalized. It doesn't have to lead toward an actual degree itself. So any questions about those 2 scholarships? And Desiree, I'm not, I've got my screen sort of expanded. So if there's anything in the chat, don't hesitate to let me know, because I don't have that pulled up.
Oh, thanks. No questions yet in the chat, but I will say Laura dropped the link to the foundation page, so ladies can pull that up as well.
Thank you so much. Okay, ladies, thank you. All right, so let's move on to a couple of the other scholarships. Now, this one is the Hermine Tobolowsky Scholarship. That's a mouthful. And believe me, this young lady that you see in this picture, she was a go-getter. She is she's often referred to in Texas history and for sure in BPW and TBW history as the mother of equal legal rights for women. She spent about 26 years lobbying in front of the Texas legislature, both the House and the Senate, and trying to get equal legal rights for the women here in the state of Texas. And so she was an attorney, and with that, because of her efforts and because of Business of Professional Women throughout the state also joining her when they could for those lobby efforts, on November the 7th, 1972, the 7th Amendment to the state constitution was ratified, it was passed. And so with that, women now have the right to own property in their own name. Prior to that, you had to have a husband, a son, an uncle, a dad, someone else was actually the owner of the property. And so because of Hermine's efforts, then she made that possible because of the change in our Texas Constitution. Well, her scholarship says it needs to be for a woman, but specifically because of Hermine's background, this is for education for the professions of law, public service, government, political science, and women's history. It also must be used at a Texas university or college, and you must have completed at least 2 semesters of study. Now, this one does not have an age requirement, but the trustees in the past have agreed that it's 2 semesters of study at a college or university. That student must also have a 3.0 or better grade point average. And the applications and supporting documents must be submitted by March 31st of each year. And so if someone is awarded a scholarship one year, they obviously are eligible to reapply. So Hermine is our woman for legal and history, political science, and government. So with just the incidents and politics in general, just this past month and everything that we're looking forward to or is about to happen within the next month and starting in January, we obviously want more women in politics and in public service. So another one of our scholarships is the Minnie L. Maffitt Scholarship. And by the way, Hermine, I should go back for just a moment. Hermine was also a state president, and the initial funding or the initial money, the seed money, if you will, for her scholarship was donated by the BPW, Business and Professional Women in the city of Dallas. And so it was Dallas Inc., Dallas Incorporated. They donated the initial seed money in her honor because that was her local organization for Hermine. So we've covered law. Now we also had another scholarship that focuses specifically on the field of medicine. And Minnie L. Maffitt, this young lady, this picture is sort of the epitome of the corporate executive who really ran the world in her time. And so Minnie L. Maffitt was also she was actually the founding president of the Texas Federation in 1919 to 1920. She went on to be the national president 2 times. She served in that National Federation presidency from 1939 to 1944. her career field, she was an educator initially, but she was also working in the field of nursing and medicine. And so she fought against the requirements of basically the military at the time, that they did not want to give uh, additional commissions to women who had served in the military. She also made sure that the legislation that was being passed and commendations that were given, if women who had served were eligible for those, she made sure that they too were considered for any types of promotions. And with that, she is also known as the flying doctor because of her work beyond the parameters of the borders of the United States of America. In World War II, she made sure that the nurses and the women in Taiwan who served the soldiers and were part of the hospital and worked very closely in making sure that many of the soldiers survived or were rehabilitated. She made sure that they had an opportunity for continued education because that was not available in Taiwan. And so because of her efforts and because of money that she raised, there is actually a nursing facility that was named and built and then named in her honor in Taiwan. And unfortunately, it was after the dedication, on her way home from that dedication, that she became ill and she passed away. And so the members of the Texas Federation felt so strongly about her efforts. They felt like women in the field of medicine and nursing really needed assistance, because in those early years, as you heard with the Miniel Maffitt, with the Hermine Tobolowsky Scholarship, a lot of those funds and things were not available to women until 72. And here we're talking about in the 40s and 50s. So a scholarship that focuses on medical education and nursing for women. This scholarship's requirements are that they must be a fourth-year medical student, wanting to make sure that they are dedicated to their career field. They can be seeking a postgraduate degree, and I'll mention some of those, like a master's in certain areas. It could also be money for a physician's assistant or a nurse practitioner certification. We are seeing so many more of those individuals assisting our degreed medical specialists these days. And so those certifications are also supported through this scholarship. It's anyone needing assistance, financial assistance for their first year in establishing a family practice. Once you make it through all of that education and internship, etc., then it does take a lot of money to establish that practice. The program must be with an accredited state college or university or a certification program here in the state of Texas. It could also be, if you're seeking a degree, you must have completed 2 years of studies, wanting to make sure that you're dedicated to that field. If you're seeking a certification, they must be registered for the program and have paid the fees associated with that program. It could be for anyone pursuing, and you see a large number of abbreviations there, MD for medical doctors, and all of the others, or a Master of Science in Medical Sciences, or a Bachelor or Master's of Science in Nursing. Our nurses are really the unsung heroes, and we mentioned COVID earlier. We saw how critical our nursing staff was during that time, in addition to our doctors, of course. But in this case, it's a degree for a bachelor's or a master's of science in nursing. On the website, there are a large number of other certification fields that if you're interested in this in this particular scholarship that I encourage you to look for. The applications, like the previous one, must be submitted by March the 31st. And of course, you are eligible for reapplication. So none of our scholarships are what I've seen in education very often, sort of a one and done. We've invested in the past for continuing scholarships. If the particular applicant reapplied, we wanted to invest in their focus and their success in their particular field. So you're always eligible to go ahead and continue in that area. So why should you apply for any of these scholarships? And I say, why should you apply? Because you ladies are on the call today. But what about a daughter, a granddaughter, a niece, the next door neighbor, the next door neighbor's granddaughter? Why should they apply? Well, some of the scholarships absolutely have a requirement for being a member of Texas Business and Professional Women, or BPW Incorporated. It's a member benefit. So if you're a member of TBW Incorporated, then this is a member benefit for you. But in addition to that, it would allow you to achieve those goals that you were talking about, or you listed a little bit earlier. So I encourage you to explore this opportunity. I'm going to go to the next slide, and you might say, well, if I had some other questions, Doris, who would I talk to? Well, the current trustees for the foundation are Laura Wisenhunt is our current chairwoman. Glenda Rakeland, who is here in San Antonio, is the treasurer. Pat Bell Burnett is the secretary this year for the foundation. She is in the Corpus area, but I think she's back in just Corpus. I am the chair of the scholarship committee. Currently, I'm honored to be able to do that. I'm here in San Antonio. Mary Mackey is the chair of the finance committee. She's up in the Dallas area. Lois Henderson is out in Woodville, in that area east to East Texas. Jessica Flores is in San Angelo. Sylvia Pendleton is in Austin. You know where Desiree is. Well, she's everywhere. Oh, no, she's just in San Angelo mostly. And then, of course, our president, Karen Gray, is also a trustee. So any of us can assist you with answering any questions or doing any other research or assistance in providing information for you regarding these scholarships. So I'm going to close out this PowerPoint. And first of all, before we ask or have questions, Sandra, I want to go back to a statement that you made. Do you remember when and which scholarship you applied for?
I'm pretty sure it was the Gilda Murray.
Gilda Murray, okay.
And I started my program in August of this year. And so I think I probably put in the application August, September.
Okay.
Somewhere
Right.
in there.
Excellent. Okay. I'm putting that down as a note. So as chairman of the scholarship committee, we did have some, I want to say a little technology glitch. And so I was not receiving those applications, but our chairperson, Laura, has taken care of all that. She sent those on to me. And so I have a meeting in about, let me look at the calendar, in about 11 days with my committee. And so we will be discussing those. And then our next meeting of the trustees is in January. So you will know, and we always, if you're awarded the scholarship or you are not awarded, we always make sure that we communicate with you either way. So thank you for helping clarify that.
Can you confirm, is it possible that you can confirm, or we can confirm, obviously after this call, that you have the application? Because I never got any
I do.
confirmation.
I
You do
went
have
back.
it?
Yes, I went back in my emails and I looked at it. We did receive it on September 18th, and so I
Perfect.
made sure that it's in Doris's inbox today.
Oh, you're so sweet. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Because like I said, I just never got any feedback, like nothing. And so I was like, well, and then I love hearing all of the stories. I'm just so impressed with these women.
Mhm.
It's amazing. And I
They,
can't believe that women in Texas could not own property in their own name until 72. Are you
Mhm.
kidding me?
right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you, Doris.
So our daughters and granddaughters just think like, oh, what do you mean? I've got my own
Right.
card. I own my own car. I can buy anything I want to. Not so much. I mean, it's part of history that we probably need to talk about more
I
more
agree.
often. Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
so true. Um,
Doris,
Patty or Elva? Oh, yes, Desiree.
Patty had a question. Patty, do you want to come off mute?
Sure. I think it was the Hermine, I cannot
Pavlovsky.
think, sorry.
That's
I'm sorry. I noticed it did say public service. Is that mostly police officers, or would education be under that as well?
so the scholarship committee has wrestled with that. And so that is one of those that's one of those clarifications that we are as a committee this year. I definitely want to get clarification and put some examples out there. Not so much limitations, but to be more specific. Yes, I don't want to say one way or the other, but we will. And I'm Patty. Let me write down your last name and make sure that we get back to you once the committee or the scholarship committee has made that decision, and just letting you know, we'll put that clarification up on the website. Okay.
Okay, I think I'm leaning towards just going through each one and applying because because later on I plan on going back after I graduate in 2026 with the master's for the special ed for the dyslexia. The major is in dyslexia, and so then I'm praying about if I'm going to go back and get the certification for the diagnostician, because again, that's a much needed field. And then I own two companies as well. One for I teach piano lessons after school. And then I also have a tutoring business I mostly do in the summer and throughout the year. So it's just one of those lots of goals. And I thought when I heard that it was able to reapply, I was like, hey. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. And we definitely want you to, if you receive the scholarship, it's great. And what all of the scholarships, the one thing that we want, or is a requirement that you'll see on the website, is that we have some communication with you. And I'm going to hold this up because I just got this in the mail. This is from one of our recent scholarship recipients, and she is a student at Dallas Baptist University. And not that you can read that, but having some communication, just letting us know what you're doing and where you are. There are some written essays, if you will, but not really the essay like we had to do in high school or applying for college. Just telling us about the needs and what you plan to do. So absolutely, Patty, we encourage you to apply. Most definitely. Alva, did you have a question, or Casey?
Oh, Elva, are you able to unmute?
Say I'm having technical difficulties as well, and I do apologize. I have to hop off shortly, but I don't really have any questions. Again, just like Sandra said, it's amazing to hear every time I hear one of the presentations, and especially this, the more detailed overview of each one of the scholarships. It's just amazing to see how far we've come and how much, honestly, we take for granted. But it's wonderful to see the kind of change and progress that we've made as an organization, and it makes me even more proud to be part of. So I appreciate you taking the time, Doris, to really break it down for us and explain so much more of what we've been able to do as an organization.
Thank you, Casey. Yes, we stand upon the shoulders of some mighty, mighty women. And so therefore, we prepare our shoulders to provide that support for those who follow. So thank you. Yes, in your leadership role, that's so true. Elva, were you able to get unmuted?
Okay, is there any way that I can speak?
Yes.
There you are.
Okay, yes, there were the two that kind of had some questions on, of course, I guess the most general one, which is the Gilda Marie, thinking about my writing skills. But I was also thinking about the, is it Hermine Tobolowsky?
Tobolowsky, yes.
And so the public service.
Uh-oh.
We may have lost her.
Yeah, something happened, Elvia. You may have touched something in it. There you are. You're back.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, but I can't see anybody. That's okay. Because there's something that I do every year, and I've been doing it since 2006. And it has to do with providing shoes for kids in the area. It started off as only for for children of single parent families because of personal experience, but also it got to the point to where there were people asking for kids that just really needed it. And this year we ended up doing like 203 pairs of shoes, which for me at first I needed some kind of seed money to start it with, because I couldn't get people to donate. So that's something that maybe we can discuss later. I don't want to go too much into it and take too much time, but it's something, those two kind of are something that I would like to discuss a little bit more.
Well, I'm here in San Antonio, Elva, and so are you. So
Yes.
anytime you need to talk, or if we can meet together, that would be great. Absolutely. That is so, so true.
Fantastic.
That would be wonderful. Yes. Yes, and so so I mentioned, the seed money, the donations. The trustees also have a annual commitment, and we continue to donate our make our contributions to the different scholarships, whether it's in a restricted fund. And a restricted fund may be if you had some money, or you inherited something, or you knew someone who wanted to give money, then if they had a passion for in the medical field, for instance, then they may make a contribution to the foundation and then say they would like that money to go to that particular scholarship, to the Manny L. Maffitt scholarship. But and that's just my plug, because at the end of the year, people are sometimes looking for a place to make a contribution. You may have seen on my Facebook this year, if you're a Facebook friend, several of our trustees have done this. Sometimes for our birthdays, you can see behind me, it's blurred out, but there's plenty of tchotchkes back there that I don't need any more tchotchkes. And so on Facebook, very often, Laura's done this too. We post and say, for our birthday this year, we don't need anything new or bright and shiny. If someone would like to do something in our honor, then they can make a contribution to the Texas Business and Professional Women's Foundation. And so Facebook has been very, very generous in the sense of not taking a percentage of the money donated, giving the organizations all of the money that are collected in the name of the nonprofit that they have requested. So that's been another source of funding. But just letting you ladies know that for scholarships, we work very hard to make sure through the investment. Mary is not on the call, and Glenda, as our treasurer, is not on the call tonight. But I will let you know that through the years, the members, the trustees, have really done very well in making sure that the investments of any money that is contributed and that continued seed money continues to grow with the right stocks and the right investments. So we've been very, very fortunate in that sense also. But the whole goal is to, it's nice to have an account, but it's so much more gratifying to be able to share that with others. And I'll talk about one more thing, and then I'll give it back to to Desiree. I talk about education, and so we talked about something that for MD Anderson, something very specific in the field of medicine. About 5 years ago, almost 6 now, the LBJ Women's Campaign School came to the Texas Business and Professional Women's Foundation and said, we are starting a new program for women because there is no specific training. There's no degree in how to run a campaign, how to be a campaign manager, and we need more women in politics. That's beyond the master's or the bachelor's degree in political science. This is the nitty gritty, you know, how do you get a mailing list and that sort of thing. And so for 5 years now, we have contributed. We are one of the initial and starter contributors, supporters of the LBJ Women's Campaign School. So that is something else that the foundation, a different aspect, a broad aspect of education. And so if you have an opportunity, you may want to just Google that website and see we are about to have the cohort 6 application go out there. But that too is a program that is funded in part by the Texas Business and Professional Women's Foundation. So if you have someone who's interested in being a campaign manager or running for politics, political office, then you may want to have them look at that. So education comes in many different forms. Desiree, Laura, back to you.
Thank you, Doris. We appreciate the great information. It's so many great scholarships, lots of information to cover, so we appreciate you sharing that. Laura dropped the link to the website for the foundation page into the chat. You can also find it by Googling Texas Business Professional Women Scholarships or Foundation. And we're very excited to see how this continues to grow and evolve. And I know it's a long-standing tradition of TBW, but always continued growth and improvement in these scholarship programs. So we appreciate your commitment to being the scholarship chair committee woman and the foundation as a whole. I'll get over to Laura. Laura, do you have anything to wrap up before we close out? We are at the top of the 8:30 time frame.
Well, I just appreciate Doris bringing her wealth of knowledge and expertise, sharing all the scholarships. As a longstanding member of BPW and TBW, she has a lot of herstory. We like to call that, coining Mary Mackey, past state president as well. No, great job, Doris. Thank you. And thank you, ladies, for attending and being engaged in the conversation and applying for the scholarships. And like Doris mentioned, be sure to share this with your all your friends, family, neighbors, and share the good news that we do have these scholarships available for you. No, great job. Appreciate you helping host, Miss Desiree. And if you have any other questions or need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Perfect. Just to wrap up tonight, the next TBW Tuesday will be on early in the year. And if you will pause for half a second, I will tell you when that is and what we're going to be talking about. That's going to be January 28th. And that is going to be our current state president, Karen Gray, and our previous past president, Miss Laura Wisenhunt. They're going to be talking to us about goal setting on January 28th. So again, just a little bit of content to get you motivated and in the zone to come through the new year. Hopefully by the 28th, those initial shocks of New Year's resolutions, those big lofty goals will have settled in, and you'll be ready to drill down into actionable steps on January 28th. So we're really excited to have y'all back here then. If you have any questions or need any more information about how you can engage, network further throughout the state or within your local organizations, I encourage you to look at our Texas Businesswomen website. If you're not a member, you can join. You can also see updates from, if you are an enrolled member, you'll get updates from our text messaging software. That is a real person, by the way. That's usually me or Karen on the other end of the line. It's just a fancy phone number, but that's information updates for y'all. And with that, I will tell everybody have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see y'all on the other side of the holidays.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you for attending. Great job, Des.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.